Drag queens.
Two legends stand before me.
They're strange and they're at the fringes of society, right? Wrong. Drag queens are now everywhere. On TV.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy fight for the crown.
In libraries.
We have a very special guest joining us. Welcome, our friend Pickle. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
In schools.
What you are about to see is a full-on erotic drag queen show, complete with gyrations, tongue gymnastics, and a flashed G-string at a kids' public school talent show. Check this out.
In front of young children. Around politicians.
Please give a warm drag race welcome, Nancy Pelosi. Oh my God! Welcome back.
My honor to be here.
And even in churches.
The Post-Millennial reports this. It says a Lutheran pastor in Chicago offered drag prayer time for children.
RuPaul is a drag queen who is basically now a household name.
'Cause even grandma likes RuPaul.
He is the producer, host, and judge of the reality competition series RuPaul's Drag Race.
My fellow Americans, the time has come for America's first drag queen president.
RuPaul has won 11 Primetime Emmy Awards, 3 GLAAD Media Awards, a Critics' Choice Television Award, 2 Billboard Music Awards, and a Tony Award. Far from being fringe, drag queens are now incredibly mainstream. Bianca Del Rio, one of the most popular drag queens today, was the winner of the 6th season of RuPaul's Drag Race.
And I've been traveling for the past 3 years all over the world, Australia and the UK and all over America, and it's been quite amazing. You never really know. TV's a pretty powerful thing, and you have no idea who's watching.
Alyssa Edwards, another popular drag queen, was a fan favorite of the 5th season of RuPaul's Drag Race.
And I sent out a tweet that our God is a God of love. And children's very first teacher and role model will be their parents. And it is their parents' decision on what form of entertainment they subject them to. I hate this as my state. I've always been proud to represent Texas. I've always held strong to my roots. I am very proud to say that I'm from Mesquite and that I went to West Mesquite Baptist Church. So I'm taken back at this very moment. And what a sad day for someone like myself who believes in art and entertainment that can inspire, that can enlighten, that can encourage.
Why do drag queens like these matter? Well, as we'll see later, many politicians are bending over backwards to please and cater to them. What comes to mind when you think of libraries?
Wow! Look at all these books!
I've seen so many books in my entire life.
Me never seen so many books before.
A safe place to bring children to casually browse for books to check out? Not anymore. More and more libraries are now caving to the pressure to put on events such as Drag Queen Story Hour, where drag queens read stories to young children.
Does anyone know what a drag queen is? No? Do you know what a drag queen is? A drag queen is a character you create to express your feminine side or any other side of yourself that you'd like to explore.
I'm totally against it. They come in very exposed. It's provocative for a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Palladino, who represents a conservative Northeast Queens district, says the program doesn't belong in city schools, where she says it's offered without parental knowledge and consent.
I believe there's a time and a place for it. It's adult entertainment.
Everyone is different and everyone is not bad, said Scooter, who is a turtle. Different is special.
Today, readings take place at libraries, museums, and other cultural centers in more than 30 cities across the country.
Libs of TikTok is a Twitter account that reveals much concerning what happens at these drag queen story hours. Take a look at this.
In Weston, Vermont, a public library had a drag queen story hour for all ages with stories focused on gender and activism. They write Drag Queen Story Hour captures the imagination and play of the gender fluidity of childhood. Youth Pride organizations in Ontario organized a Drag Queen Story Hour tour at various public libraries for all ages. It will showcase stories celebrating diversity and inclusion. Bristol Library advertised a Drag Queen Story Hour tour where drag queens will be going around to libraries across the UK to read to children.
Just let that sink in. It's now normal, and acceptable for parents to bring their children to watch and listen to drag queens read stories to them in public libraries. If you like this video, subscribe to help spread this message. Speaking of it now being normal and acceptable for drag queens to have an audience of young children, guess where else drag queens are now regularly appearing? You guessed it, schools.
Last week, high schoolers in a Wisconsin town not far from Madison had to endure a song and dance routine by a French teacher from their school who was dressed in drag. It's just a male teacher in drag strutting around in front of his minor students.
Again, Libs of TikTok helps us to see the depths to which many schools have fallen.
According to the drag queen's TikTok, this occurred at a Catholic high school in NYC. They brought a drag queen to speak to students about drag and LGBTQ.
Her name is Britta Filter, and she is the Queen of New York! Yeah!
I have obtained more footage of the drag show which took place today at Aspire Richmond California College Preparatory Academy, a middle school in Richmond. The drag queen's stage name is Jizz. Were the parents aware of this?
The fact that anyone considers it appropriate for men dressed as women to dance sexually in front of young children should be frightening to us all. We mentioned earlier that many politicians are catering to the drag queen demographic. Here's Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, saying the drag queens are what America is all about.
Please give a warm drag race welcome, Nancy Pelosi. Welcome back.
My honor to be here. Your freedom of expression of yourselves in drag is what America is all about. Can I get an amen?
And here's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez praising drag queens and calling them patriots.
Okay, I'm a huge Drag Race fan. I think this was the best musical out of it. And the people who change what people think are artists and drag queens. And let's not forget who threw that first brick at Stonewall. Yes. That is what led to us passing the Equality Act in the House in this term. Marriage equality, it starts with you. I mean, you're patriots. You are.
And while we're talking about politicians and the LGBTQ community, here's a photo of two U.S. officials at the French ambassador's Bastille Day celebration. On the left is Rachel Levine, a 4-star admiral in the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps, and on the right is Sam Britton, a Department of Energy employee who is a non-binary drag queen with they/them pronouns.
Admiral Rachel Levine. Rachel is a father and was still biologically a man for the majority of Rachel's life. He, she, her, his life, and just recently transitioned and rose to prominence when they were appointed to this position. And I think Rachel is the first transgender person in the federal government, I believe. We can't look at this and think that our society and our country is mentally well. These are the two people representing us on the world stage at the French embassy.
These are our government officials. Surely drag queens are just out there, right? Surely drag queens don't have anything to do with Christians and churches, right? Wrong. Here is a drag queen church pastor.
Loving Creator, Holy One, and Diva of the world, may your word shine upon us like glitter under the stage lights. May it pop like a death drop in a crowded, dingy basement. As we are gathered here for Coming Out Sunday, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, O God, our rock, our strength, and our Redeemer. Amen.
And here's a Methodist drag queen teaching about the mystery of queer holiness.
I am really uncomfortable with the story of the crucifixion. The commentary of the queer Bible commentary transposes the story of Christ. This really every story in the Bible, but specifically this one was about the crucifixion, and it transposes that onto the story of the queer experience.
And here's a pastor hosting drag prayer time for children.
Aaron Musser, who was ordained this summer, donned a blonde wig, white dress, and makeup to share in worship with the children in his parish. This is St. Luke's Lutheran Church of Logan Square, and they publicized the event on Facebook. They're very proud of it. Let's take a look at some of this.
With many other exhortations, John proclaimed the good news to the people, the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
You may be seated, and I'd like to invite any children or people who would like to see a picture book that I will be showing on the iPad here.
And the list goes on and on.
Pride isn't a place, it's a feeling of being proud. The pride flag represents being proud of who you are.
And on. Of course, the Bible is perfectly clear that men are men and women are women, and that God will judge those who reject the way God created them to live and act.
And all of that goes to the heart of a simple, singular question. Hath God said? But if God hath said, and we're in trouble, and I believe we are,